That's a clean way to put it. When I was back in the world, we put it in a much harsher term. But we didn't want our sisters, we didn't want our brothers telling on us. Your best friend had to hold your confidence in spite of all. Because that's just who we are. That's how we thought of things. That's how we think. We want all of that. But in this case, Joseph's siblings hated him. And hate is defined as an intense dislike, extreme aversion, or hostility for someone or something. And Joseph is the object of extreme aversion or hostility of his brothers. Now don't be too hard on the brothers, because imagine, if you would, just for a moment, if you were one of the brothers. You know how it is, you're the oldest of your brothers and sisters, and as a result, you assume a role of superiority over them, just because you were born first. Not because of your moral ethics, not because of your ability to do things that as your parents have set forth, just because you're the oldest. But every time mama and daddy leave the house, they bring the youngest of your siblings and put them in charge. The youngest of your siblings is in charge of the home. Not only are they in charge, when they come back and they return, they bring the best gifts to him or her. You get what's left over. It seems like they always shower in their love. And what do we say about the baby boy or the baby girl? They spoil. Mama didn't bring them up like they brought us up. We got beat downs. They don't get in no trouble. They get away with everything. You know, those of us that's from big families know that's how it works. You know, you in a smaller family, you might have heard your friends talk about, oh yeah, that's the one that get away with everything. He's mama's love. She's mama's love. Mama's baby. You know, always, daddy can't do no wrong around here. I used to come home in the military, and nobody was allowed to drive my mother's car. I go right in there and snatch the keys and get in the car and go. I didn't have a car at home. I was in Germany. I needed a car. I wasn't going to walk. And first thing my sister was saying, you must be royalty. As soon as you come in the house, you get the keys. People start cooking again. They just start doing all kind of stuff around the house just because you home. I said, be thankful that you get to partake. Because I was spoiled. I was mama's baby. I got all of that. Okay? My brother wasn't home, and that was cool because he was mama's favorite, but I was mama's baby, and I got it all. And I was daddy's, well, you know, me and dad was cool. I got it all from him too. I had everything that I wanted. And this is the life that Joseph was living. He got everything that he wanted. You know, when daddy wanted to know who was cutting up, he'd ask Joseph, and Joseph would give it up, tell everybody, tell it all on him. And so he has this favor. But not only does he have this favor, but he comes back later, and now he's telling them, by the way, one of these days, I'm going to have rule over you. Now, you've been getting everything you wanted all your life, and one of these days, you're going to be telling me what to do. Ah, man, that ain't working for me as the older brother at all. My brother, to this day, I remember we used to play basketball. Every time I would come home to him, this is the only thing he would do with me, and we play basketball. And we go shoot ball, and it'd be summertime. And if he won the first game, we didn't have to play no more. And that's what he did. We play one game, 21. If he won that game, we didn't have to play no more. If I won, it was best 2 out of 3. And so the first time I came home and I beat him, I was like, he can't beat me no more, I got him. That's the first thing he said, 2 out of 3. And he won the next 2 games. And so to this day, I knew at that moment in my life, my brother could not beat me anymore. And I had mercy on him because I didn't beat him bad like I could. But he will always say, and when he sees this, he's going to say it again, but you never beat me. And he's right. Because that's how he felt about it. And that's how we feel about it. Little brother ain't got no business ruling over us. Little sister ain't got no business ruling over us. But yet, Joseph is saying, I'm going to rule, and you're going to follow. After he done got everything that he ever wanted. He had all the favor, and now he's going to rule. And they hate him even more than they hated him before. And now, Jacob, who saw him as the favorite, rebukes him. Even though he listened, the brothers didn't even listen. They were like, that's nonsense. Jacob rebuked him, but he listened. His brothers envied him because of his dreams. And I heard, there's an author of the 14th century preacher's man who wrote that envy was the most precious daughter of the devil because it follows his footsteps by hindering good and promoting evil. And this is the feeling everyone has around you because you done alienated them. Not just in your family, you've seen it on your jobs when you wind up being the favorite of the boss. Or I experienced it. It seemed like to me, I couldn't say nothing while I was in the military. I wanted to be at home because I got everything I wanted. But when I was in the military, if I opened my mouth, I was standing on the carpet. And then I saw other people, same thing, and they got rewarded and applauded. But I stayed in, I should have never been allowed to retire, I've always said, for some of the things that I did. But there were some things that I didn't do that I didn't deserve. And I found out. Some people just don't like it when you got an anointing on your life. Some people don't see that. They don't like it when an anointing is on your life, when God is determined that you're going to be something. And you walk around with a different feeling about you. Your innocence professes your impending greatness. Not because you're proud, but just because you know God has spoken to your heart. He spoke to your heart. And here comes the weeping moments of your life. The weeping moments of your life. The Bible doesn't tell us this, but I believe it had to be a weeping moment for Joseph when he felt the hatred and envy of his brothers. Somebody that you have been told should love you in spite of now hates you. And they hated him so much they dropped him in a pit. Now let me describe these pits to you. Normally these pits had a small hole at the bottom, but they would spread out down at the top, and they would spread out down at the bottom to be almost 100 feet wide. And sometimes they would be mud and murky for you to fall into. They dropped him into something that didn't have no water. They were just going to leave him there. They first wanted to kill him when they saw him approaching. But his older brother stopped that. And so they threw him in a pit. And so later on, they decide to sell him for 20 pieces of silver. I can imagine what would have happened to me if I found out my brother or sister wanted to sell me for what silver is worth, which is about 20 pieces, probably about $300-400. That's not a lot of money for your life into slavery. And back then, 20 pieces of silver probably wasn't even worth that. It was probably worth a little more. It was worth something. But it didn't have the value of a life. And so now here he is, on his way to Egypt, sold by his brothers. And if I had been in that situation, I'd have been blubbering like an idiot. Because I would not have understood. And I can't imagine that Joseph understood, because he didn't yet fully understand what his dreams meant. Because later on, he would get to Egypt, and things would start to look up. Things would start to look up. And once again, he winds up in jail over a lie. Potiphar's wife was after him. And you know, I explained it this way. You know, we talked. He was a fortunate man. I said, because most men are not taught to say no. And they run up on a woman trying to say that ain't trying to hear no. They generally don't say no. But Joseph said no and went to jail over a lie. And so he gets in jail. Now you got the jester and the baker to come down there, and they treat him bad. But he starts to elevate himself in jail, and he gets out of jail, and all of these good things begin to happen to him. But I want to talk to somebody today that with the understanding of what had happened in the story. Have you ever lived this life? Have you ever asked yourself, what did I do wrong? Why do I have to suffer so much pain and injustice? But that's not what Joseph did. And it's not what you should do either. You see, Joseph, even though he had weeping moments, Joseph never cried.